Welcome, gladiators, to the next episode here of Colorful Voices, the Let's Talk podcast. With me today, as we talk medication safety, is the owner and founder of Remedy Guard Solutions. I just say solutions because it's Remedy Guard, because it's a solution. It is Matthew. Matt, you prefer Matthew or Matt?
These days I don't really care. It used to be Matt, and then it was Matthew, and then it's just like whatever.
That's similar, Timothy, Tim. It doesn't matter. Matthew comes to us. Matthew is a service-disabled Air Force veteran who deployed in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. After returning home, he used the GI Bill to obtain a BS in computer science from Southern Oregon University. From there, he spent 7 years helping entrepreneurs and small business owners navigate the complexities of e-commerce fulfillment as the IT manager for an award-winning logistics company in Jacksonville, Florida. In September of 2021, Matt seized the opportunity to start Remedy Guard to tackle the issue of unaffordable medication storage. Drawing from his personal experiences, he understands the challenges faced by individuals with children in their lives as they strive to get through each day. Matt, it is truly an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to be speaking with you today. Welcome to Colorful Voices in our podcast, my friend.
Hi, Timmy. Thank you for having me on. Pleasure's all mine.
For our tribe members, we had an opportunity to meet during our last year's cohort of the IVMF Entrepreneurship Bootcamp for Veterans, operated by our alma mater, because we graduated EBV, so that we are now official alumni of Syracuse University. And we had a pleasure to really engage during that week with our cohort. I just want to start with, tell us where you're from. Where from? Well, let's start from the beginning. Where are you from?
Yeah, very beginning. I'm originally from Southern Oregon, and born and raised. That was my home of record while I was in the Air Force and all that. And now I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. I've been here for about 10 years. It's been wonderful here. Jacksonville is it's like the fourth fastest growing city in our nation, and it's also one of the top cities to start a business. Going back to like Southern Oregon and all of that, and like, yeah, where's Matthew from? My community was just absolutely ravaged by meth and teen pregnancies when I was growing up. It wasn't a lot of violence, but there was a lot of stuff, going on that I didn't want anything to do with. I had to get out, and that's like why I joined the Air Force, was, partly to get away from that. Like, there was very little opportunities for me, and the military's there. It's always going to be there. And looking at the different branches, like, my mom's dad served in the Navy. My dad served in the Navy. My mom's mom served in the Army. And so I was like, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to join the Air Force. But it was actually my best friend. He was like, I'm getting out of here. I'm joining the Air Force. And I was like, oh, I hadn't super considered the Air Force. I had just sort of discounted the other branches because quality of life. I kind of had a feeling before going in, like, if you join the Army or the Marines, you're pounding ground, you're sucking dirt. If you join the Navy, you're probably stuck in a little cube the belly of a ship kind of thing. And I'm like,
yes,
Air Force, let's go fly high. Like,
I said when I joined the Navy, same with you. My aunt is joined the Air Force. My uncle, Army. Grandfather, Army. My brother, Marine Corps. So I joined the Navy, and I couldn't swim. But then I had to learn. And then my first duty station was a Marine Corps duty station, and we had to run 6 miles. And I was like, this is bullshit. I signed up for a mile and a half, not 3.
right? Like,
So,
thankfully, the
um,
Air Force didn't have like these huge PT requirements that the other branches do. You're not like rocking 6 miles in the Air Force. Like, at least when I was
abs-
in, it wasn't like that. It was like having a normal job in many regards, you know?
Absolutely. Well, so we're Navy Guard, and we know. So being from Oregon and joining the Air Force and growing up and seeing the effects of drug use and in the LGBTQ community plus community, drug meth is on the rise. It's highest it's been, and
Oregonians still consume meth at a rate 70% higher than any other state. Like, it is ridiculous the amount that is consumed. I mean, at one point, my hometown produced 33% of the nation's meth, and this, I believe that was back in the 80s. So
wow.
like Breaking Bad way before Breaking Bad was a thing. Like, and the empty trailer next to us got swatted at one point. I'm like looking out the window, all of a sudden like ATF and SWAT is like running up on the black vans out front, like it's on. I was like, my brother and sister were there with me, and we were like watching through the window, like as it
Mm.
was going down. We're like, we should probably like get away from here, because if anything goes down, like this trailer is not hardened shelter,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's collateral damage.
right? you know. Uh, so yeah, I had seen what happened, when sort of a new drug hit a community, and what it took to even like get ahead of it. Like,
Okay.
it
Yeah.
takes a coordinated effort from all levels to
Yes.
even start making a dent, to hit this almost a neutral kind of point, um, where people aren't just dying en masse to substances.
Absolutely.
And with meth, it's not the same as like with fentanyl now. Like, meth is like a long term spiral kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, when it comes to the fentanyl, it's no joke. One pill can kill. Like, that's legit. I encountered a young man from Georgia. He had lost his best friend, due to a tampered pill. There were 4 pills, and it was like literally like playing Russian roulette.
Yeah.
And his friend got the bad pill, and there was no Narcan, naloxone present. There was no fentanyl test strips. They didn't test their pills before consuming, and a life was lost needlessly. It's just so pointless when it
Yeah.
comes to losing people from things like substances or suicide.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's another thing that's happening. For decades, uh, mental health has been an issue, of course, and especially in our youth. But
Yeah.
it's been not quite focused on enough in media, in um, grant writing. Like, from a community perspective, our nation is broken. There's no
Yeah.
continuity. There's no handoff. When a county commissioner steps into that new role, it's usually seen as a hostile takeover, and then there's no collaboration. There's no handoff. Like, oh, we're working on this project, this project, this project. Talk to these people about. You're on your own. You
Yeah.
reinvent the wheel, and that happens every time there's somebody newly elected. Every election cycle,
Yeah.
we're reinventing things without this continuity, and there are organizations that bridge that gap if those decision makers know to write those grants to get those organizations in place. I'm talking about like
Ah.
drug-free community coalitions, DFCs. They're funded
Hmm.
by SAMHSA, the CDC, CADCA, other state, local agencies, fund these. And since 2005, half of our population has lived in an area with a DFC coalition.
Okay.
Is the glass half full or half empty? Like, I think I
Yeah.
see room for improvement. I'm usually the glass is half full kind of thing,
Yes. Yeah.
person, like silver linings, all that. That's part of my mental resilience, my own defense mechanisms. It's not
Okay.
always like, there's nothing ever wrong, but you try to find the silver linings and things. But so these organizations, they can exist to bridge that gap, and that happens way more often than we realize.
Yeah.
The city councils, the commissioners, they come together. They'll try to identify who's doing stuff in the community related to harm reduction, outreach, prevention, treatment, all of that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. And they'll say, hey, what are you doing? Like, I just
Yeah.
got here, fill me in. What can I do to
Yeah.
help you, kind of thing. By and large, that is what happens. But there's a lot of cracks where things
Yeah.
are just falling through, and this lack of continuity, it could be happening at a smaller level, maybe a
Okay.
municipality with like 2,500 people or something like that. It can happen in larger areas, hundreds of thousands of people relying on our elected officials to make the right decisions, to know what is happening now and in the future. I mean, we don't have crystal balls, but we
Yeah.
can say that when it comes to the opioid settlement fund, we have 15 years left of payments. We have $45 billion left to spend,
Yeah.
not as a slush fund, but as a increase to treatment, increased access, increased methods, all of that. And that's another thing that's happening is those funds are being treated as a slush fund. They
Yeah.
are not being used to expand and increase access.
And
And those
I'd
those
like to get
funds,
in.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd like to ask about get into Remedy Guard and being a solution because it would seem as though Remedy Guard would fit would benefit from that 45 billion to be able to support the mission of medication stored safely, securely.
absolutely.
Does that
So
happen?
like medication lock boxes have been just, the boxes themselves. They've been used in outreach, prevention, and treatment for well over a decade now.
Wow.
I'm still encountering folks that are like, wow, that's such a new and novel idea. No, what? I
Yeah.
thought, it's like I've, telling people, hey, look at this seat belt. Oh, that's amazing. Like, nah, like we already have seat belts and everything. Use your seat belt,
Yes.
kind of thing. Yeah, as far as you know, the solution goes, it is being more proactive and engaging with the organizations that are trying to do things in their communities. They
Mm.
are alone. They really are out there, boots on the ground, without the equipment and training to really make impact and get things done. Um,
Yeah.
and so, like, yeah, September 21, had that opportunity to start my own thing. And like the 22 was a bit of a wash when it came to things. I tried to figure out like domestic manufacturing and all of that. And when it comes to, products that are given away for free, the buyers are sensitive to the price.
Yeah.
Go figure, right? So I had to end up looking overseas, and eventually, like fourth quarter of 22, I found the manufacturer and everything, and then last year it was like, hey, let's go, and so started hitting up all of those you know DFC coalitions, saying, hey,
Yeah.
I'm here to help, and let's collaborate and do things. And I was able to work with Oregon Poison Center. We did a co-branding on like these lock bag type things, and then earlier this year in March they had a conference, a public conference or a press conference about the increase in pediatric exposure to fentanyl. A bunch of children are getting into fentanyl in Oregon,
Oh,
and they were able to use one of these co-branded bags as an example of things that parents can bring into their life and use to make that stronger effort. keeping kids out of their stuff, whatever it is. No stigma, no judgment, whether it's prescription or not, legal, illicit, it doesn't matter. Lock it up and keep it out of the hands of little ones and your pets.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's where sort of the competition is failing, is within that proactive engagement and coming up with solutions that are going to help public health gain public awareness. Like
Yeah.
there's still so much stigma and judgment involved with substances or substance use that a lot of folks our age have tuned it out, and that
Yeah.
creates this generational deafness to the message of
Yeah.
like, hey, look, just lock it up. I know you probably got weed in your house and around kids or something. Lock it up and make sure that they don't get into it. If you've got like harder drugs or whatever, yeah, sure, we'd like it if you didn't. Here are resources that can help, uh, recover from
Yeah.
substance use disorder. And here are other, real tangible tools that you can implement in your home to help protect your kids,
You know,
and
oh, King, I will tell you, and I just wanted to double back and just in root what you stated. It wasn't until I was working for Veterans Leadership Program, and the work that we do in social work with homeless veterans, that I had discovered and learned of lockboxes. I was in a homeless veteran program, and I feel they might have been like a decade ago, and I even utilized those services earlier, even this year. But I recognized throughout my healing journey the need for even me to have a lockbox in case I have a manic episode or so.
yes, and when it comes to thoughts like you talk about having a manic episode. Now I'm a person that I live with suicidal ideations.
Mhm.
And most of the time they're passive and sometimes they're not.
Yeah,
Generally speaking, I can live my life without those thoughts, but I mean, just things come up, things get stressful or what have you. And like for me, it starts with like these passive thoughts of like, oh, maybe it wouldn't be so bad if I didn't wake up in the morning, kind
yeah,
of thing. Or if the plane went down, I don't think I'll care too much. And then, it can increase and solidify into like forming plans and stuff. And that's where the interventions need to, be happening.
mhm,
Our minds become rigid. And this is part of like suicide intervention trainings that I had like way back, like when I first joined the Air Force. That was one of the first trainings that I went through at my first duty station. So after basic, after tech school, here I am, um, suicide prevention, and it was like served right alongside like self aid and buddy care type, combat wound dressing situation. Like it's all
yeah,
right there. Here's all this information that you need, and it came in handy. Like I was with my roommate, and he was like losing his mind over a girl, and he's in my car, and like I'm done, I'm over it, and I just took all these pills, and I'm like, you're
yeah,
fucking stupid for telling me that, because I just turned my car on and took his ass to the ER.
exactly.
Uh, but it is one of those things where he wouldn't have just told me this if I hadn't been asking him the questions and
Yes.
noticing these signs that you're trained on. Um, when it comes to our thinking in these situations, it does become rigid. So during periods of plasticity or clarity, our minds come up with ways to end it ourselves. Like I don't know, it's
Yes.
fascinating to me. I lost my father to suicide
Mhm.
on his like second attempt, and I attempted suicide when I was a teenager. So I see uh, what the message, what the training is saying and everything. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, our brains become rigid. And if we say, okay, I'm going to shoot myself, stab myself, take pills, crash my car, what have you, if that method is removed, there's not an alternative method sought.
Wow.
So, if your plan is to take a bunch of pills and they're locked up and maybe you don't have the key, your caretaker does, your method is not available, you can't take your life.
Yeah.
Same thing, like, with guns and the gun locks. If your gun's locked up and you just hit that point and your thinking switches and you say, I'm going to enact my plan, it's done, it's go time,
Yeah.
and then it's locked up and you're fumbling with your key in this lock and you're trying to get everything together, and you
Yeah.
might have a moment. Like, that's the point with this stuff, is deterrence and providing moments that people might have, so that you know they can still be with us, so that they won't
I
even like make that attempt.
Absolutely. And I have two questions, a two-part question for you when it comes to this, and it's a little personal. And it is, when you were in the darkness, as you were having when you were having the suicidal ideation, what helped pull you back? What helped give you that light, that nugget to go forward another day?
Well, when I was younger, I think it was a little anger to that kind of, I don't know, stop me. So, like, I was like in the middle. I was gonna like cut my wrist using like broken spoon.
Yeah.
Not even a knife, but yeah. So, and like, this thought, like, you know what, people aren't gonna care that I'm gone, and that pissed me off. And so I'm like, I'm gonna stick around. I'm gonna mess things up. Or like, there's there was something that was like, nah. But I ended up in a period of self harm for a
Yeah.
few months, and eventually was able to get myself out of that. It was like, part of it was some attention seeking, and then it was like, I'm getting too much unwanted attention about this, and I don't want to get Baker acted, so I'm gonna stop doing that. I want
Yeah.
my freedom taken away. So I'll, versus going into professional help or what have you, it was, let's mask more, or let's just stop this and try and figure something else out, or what have you.
Yeah. So, are you currently? And I know you're service connected, service disabled veteran, and that means you're connected with the VA and the VA services. I've been last year. I had the opportunity, the honor of having the VA Press Secretary, Mr. Terrence Hayes, as our inaugural guest as we went over the December 2023 VA Suicide Prevention Report. And with this month being Suicide Awareness Month, as we bring light to those who have tragically lost their lives, along with the survivors who are here, including you and I, uh, my follow up question, and this is one where I'm just gonna ask it straight from the hip, brother. Here we go. This is what we do on Call for Voices. For those who are struggling right now, we're not going to wait to the end of the show to be like this. For those who are struggling right now, who are today listening to this and debating whether or not they want to take their life, and they're hoping to get a nugget, they need, or they also want to learn more about Remedy Guard. There are veterans, non-veterans who are going to be listening to and taking in our nuggets. What's the thing you want to tell them right now?
I would say that there is hope in the world. It might not seem like it right now, but if you were to get connected with a support group or someone, you'll find it. It is out there. It is attainable.
Yes.
As someone who, up until like last year, I didn't have much passion in life. Like when I would go for like a job interview or something like that, people like, "What's your passion?" Or what? I didn't have a response like from the heart. Now I'm passionate about helping others, helping guide other people into making good choices that will eventually make a better world. It's a
Yes.
force multiplier. Like, my background in IT and stuff, like IT is a force multiplier. It allows a person to do way more than they could do on their own. And taking that same sort of mentality and applying it to public health and trying to be a force multiplier there, I'm going to save so many lives. We're going to
Yes.
change things on a level
Yes.
that hasn't been able to happen. And really, like, I had a company dropped in my lap about medication log boxes, a long-standing company, and I got access to all their emails for like a 12-year history. Consistent failures to deliver over the years. Somebody showing up, hey, I need this for this event. I need hundreds of these for an event to get into the hands of other people. They
Yeah.
don't have that. And if they're not able to find that stuff, then it doesn't get out in the world. The cycle continues. And that's kind of where I'm looking at things now is, are these generational cycles
Yeah.
of trauma, of addiction, of poverty. It's generational. And like, it's so stupid how the littlest thing can knock people off of
Yeah.
a path, a good, bright trajectory. And then those people's like children are going to suffer for that.
Yeah.
Like, my mom tried to start a restaurant when I was a little kid,
Yeah.
entrepreneurship stuff, and she went at it alone. There was nobody on her side.
Yeah.
Some deal went bad. The restaurant never actually opened. We lost the house, bankruptcy, moved to the trailer park, and hello, poverty.
Yeah.
We were probably like lower middle or something before that,
Hmm.
but after that, it was game over. And like, one of my rites of passage or whatever, like, when you turn 18, it was go sign up for food stamps kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's just where I'm from and how I grew up. And like, you get your, yeah, government
Yeah.
assistance.
No,
you
no,
know
no, and it's great to hear how you started and how you took how the road that you've taken your life into serving our country proudly, and taking on the next chapter of your life. And I want to give you your flowers, Matt. When in this matter, while we were at our cohort, I absolutely learned so much from every member of our cohort. Every member, your passion for everyone's passion was on full display. That, but me giving you your flowers, we had an opportunity to just have conversations about what we were discussing right here on our podcast. And your knowledge and your love and your care, your human nature, your authenticity is what takes you. It continues to take you places. I continue to see your work at every place that you're able to show up. You show up and show out to get the message out there. Your passion is on full display. You don't seek to compete with others who are in the space that you are. You're simply looking to carve out your space in your niche, which there's enough for everybody. And the way that you go about collaborating with other entrepreneurs is beautiful. It was great to be a part of. It's something that I love and it's helped me grow in Colorful Voices. I'll be real with you. Some of the things that you said actually struck, aligned with myself. That startup, like, wait a minute, can I do this? Do I have the capacity to do this? And do I have the confidence and to take on something bold and not have the financial literacy that I need? And it's been a really great experience in understanding disparities, understanding the gaps in services, and how we can grow um, in communities in the entrepreneurship community, in the mental health space. Bro, King, you also said hope.
Yeah,
You
no,
have to
that
have.
yeah, well, not having hope and being in this like pit of despair was, one of those
Yeah.
things that drove me to trying to take my own life. I didn't have a support network. There were people that I could talk about absolutely everything.
Hmm.
Um, so it was this thing of, feeling just like completely alone, hopeless, without, anything to look forward to. There was
Yeah.
like there was no future like for me, like what I could see, it wasn't there.
Yeah. So what
There's
turned
no
it
bright future.
around? What turned it around?
Well,
What was the turnaround for that?
there was, what is that? Part of it is a survival instinct, like, just keep on moving forward. Um, Another part of it is just like, I'm gonna prove people wrong, you know. Like I had this thing of that, I'm just this white trash kid from a trailer park that's never going to amount to anything or do anything worth mention in their life. Like, college was off the table. Like, the idea like being able to afford it, and I wasn't really that great of a student in high school.
Yeah.
Although it's weird, like I would ace Japanese and fail English class. Like what? I mean, but yeah. So hope is definitely one of those things, and building the some type of mental framework, some sort of operating the higher level of trying to find those silver linings, trying to maintain some sense of positivity when everything around you is totally screwed. So, like,
Yes.
uh, that helped me a bit,
Yeah.
on my deployments. Like, maintaining some sense, some positive mental sense. But even then, like, your thoughts go places on deployments. And
Absolutely.
but it's like,
And
okay, finally you get back, and it's like, okay, I wrote a paper in community college for English class. War is not hell, coming home is. Because it's like, you get trained up and you get sent somewhere. And yeah, after maybe an initial shock or something, you're a fish in a fishbowl.
yeah.
And then you're pulled out of this like ultra violent life or death situation, and you're dropped back into society where it's not like that. And
Yeah.
then figure it out.
It's
Like,
it's not like that. It's not a controlled environment that is really conducive to training and to accomplishing the mission. And then also, when you come back to reality, it's not Call of Duty. Although we like to play it, life is not like the game. And if you once you experience the real thing, it's like, okay. Uh, and and I'm not speaking from experience. I never went to war, and but I've seen obviously my brothers and sisters and the effects, and it's not I. That's actually where I get a little concerned, is because I also think that that's where research can play a part. Is where we are today, and how video games and how reality TV, how all of this has played its part, not in the social decline. We can say that there's a social decline or not, but really in our mental health and how we speak to one another and what our expectations are. And I truly believe that we are in the greatest time of life because of the technological solutions available to us, to the renewed focus on mental health. Yes, we have crises at our on our doorsteps, but just like we've done in human history, we've met that call. Uh, this leads me to my next question. And like I did that little section to go into this my next question, and it's this: Remedy Guard. Today we know where we are. To where is Remedy Guard today? What are we celebrating today with Remedy Guard?
Well, today we are celebrating 3 years at Remedy Guard. Um, here in a couple weeks or just a week and a half will be like the 3 year anniversary for forming the company. And it's at a position where I'm paying myself now. I'm hoping that here soon, probably next year, I'll be able
Okay.
to bring in another full-time employee. I'm looking at like a salesperson, sales,
Okay.
like customer support service type thing, to help keep
Congratulations.
that going. Thank you. Like sales is the lifeblood of a company,
Mhm.
and if you're not doing sales, like what are you doing? you know.
Yeah.
And if you look at like my graphs, there's some little peaks when I've been able to like dive in and focus on stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but then you see where things kind of fall, like where I might be in one of the entrepreneurial programs or whatever, and my attention is elsewhere. I am also super happy to say that we're still moving forward with the University of Rochester and their suicide prevention program. Just got sent off the last bit of paperwork to them to be onboarded as a vendor, and so they'll be able to get affordable lock boxes for their suicide prevention program, and they're going to be
Yeah.
scaling that to a point that they've never tried before. So I'm really excited to see what that's going to look like.
Yes.
Hopefully we can blanket their community and get their numbers down,
Absolutely.
get all that stuff taken care
You're
of.
making a difference. How does it feel? I just want you to take this moment in, and this. I love this. This is. I want you to enjoy these few seconds to enjoy where you've been, to look at where you've been, and I meant what I said by enjoy where you've been, because where you started, everything that you said actually doesn't apply to you. Those labels, it was just an environment. You took that environment and you then molded yourself around it. And look where you are today. And you are saving lives. Your company that you formed based upon your life experience that's perfectly suited you for today. You not only did you save lives by serving our country, you're doing it in an entirely new way as an entrepreneur and business owner and employer. And how does that feel for you?
It feels good to make a difference, and you know it was one of those things that I've been looking forward to for quite a while now. Since starting the company, is like these the major wins. There's so much front loaded work that has to be done when starting a business and doing the stuff that I'm still in and making pushes. Like Thursday and Friday, I emailed virtually every public health department in the United States
Wow.
by hand. I didn't like buy some email list or something like that. I
Yeah.
found them and emailed them. uh, and more collaboration is coming from that. It did shine some more light in areas that they need help. They're like, well, I love
Yeah.
it, just there's no funding over here. And then I'll hit up somebody
Yeah.
else and they're like, oh, we're good, we get them for free. I'm like, okay, well, you two need to talk. Like,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know.
Absolutely. And I love that you give the solutions when you say, wait a minute, we get them for free and they don't have any funding. And you connect the dots to say, hey, that's really,
Unfortunately, the they don't always hit me back saying, oh yeah, well, this is how I was able to manage it.
ah. So, this is for the platforms. Hey, everybody, listen, please hit back Matt and respond to these emails. We
Yeah.
all are on the same team.
If you know how to get
If
free something for somebody in your area, well, share that knowledge. But even then, it's one of those things where that stuff has to come from somewhere. So direct me upstream if you have to. Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
that's what I'm here
It's
for.
now we're talking about what we're celebrating with Remedy Guard today. I now want to know, brother. I got to ask this question. What is the future for Remedy Guard look like for you? What is the and we're not going to go 10 years in the future. We're not going to go 5 years. Let's just go 3 years. What does the next 3 years look like?
3 years is going to be interesting. I'm going to be announcing a new partnership with it's women's fashion. I'll put it
Okay.
that way. Um, that should be really interesting. But yeah, within the next 3 years, it's going to be continued collaboration and partnerships with these organizations that are making a difference,
Good.
in our nation. I've got this ruminating idea of the Remedy Guard Alliance, and that would be a nonprofit. It'll be another coalition of coalitions, but with
Mhm.
the focus and the intent of, safe medication storage distribution. Um, Looking at, the different folks that I've talked to and stuff, like when I reach out saying, hey, this is who I am and what I'm doing, a common response is, you need to start your own nonprofit. And it's like, well, you're a nonprofit. Play.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's go. Like, you're already writing grants for this stuff. Add a line, add a sentence or two, maybe a paragraph. Give me a paragraph and
Yes.
get it out there in the world. Narcan, naloxone, absolutely wonderful. That is a medication that has been around since, I believe, the 70s. Okay, the
Yes. Yes.
opioid reversal medications aren't new.
Yes.
It's just our awareness of them is new.
And I
And
can, I am proud to share with you on that one. That's we can trace that all the way back to the NAACP.
oh, really?
Yes, I love, and I would love to share that story on this
It's
podcast. I'm
probably
going to bring on the next. I will bring my dear friend Kevin onto the show to specifically talk about that because I learned that during Juneteenth. I didn't even know that. And how the historical roots of that can be traced here to Pittsburgh. It's so crazy. It's so imaginative. That's
mm,
something that you said about that. So I will have him on the show. I would love to invite you back to actually discuss that because I think that would be a really fruitful conversation also. But please continue because, by the way, I take the naloxone. Uh, I am 3+ years sober. I'm so grateful for that, but I take that for alcohol. so uh, but
yeah,
it's
and yeah, Narcan, naloxone, those are. I mean, it's not new. Again, like with the lockbox, and people being like, "Oh my God, look at this new thing." It's been around for a while.
yeah,
Fentanyl test strips, those are new. Those are new. I mean,
yeah,
test strips in general to detect the presence or absence of a substance, those have been around long enough. But specifically, like for fentanyl or certain substances. Like that's newer. Um, 3 years is not enough time to start my own domestic manufacturing. Again, looking at what this is, what these lockboxes are, what we are going to be doing as a nation for the next 15 plus years, it would make sense to have a plant
Yes.
set up for this kind of a product where it's all on site, from
Yeah.
the forge or the smelting down to all the pressing of the material, the powder coating, lock assembly, everything under one. Well, probably not under one roof, because of the smelting process and how lock boxes don't need as much as like engines or whatever. But there is like new green technology that has been developed for steel specifically, that reduces the carbon footprint by like 90%, or so huge breakthrough out of like either Greenland or Iceland, one of those two places, adapt that technology so that those processing facilities that need to pump out all these different raw materials are actually more environmentally conscious. It is there's an impact to think with this stuff. Like when I'm thinking about things into the future and stuff, it's like millions of lockboxes. Well, where are they all going to come from, and what is this going to do to the environment? I chose like steel for one thing. Is it's so recyclable.
Yes.
So there is a reduced impact there. We can get it back into the
I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna throw this out here. I love the community of Jacksonville. We're coming to Jacksonville for Mental Hope Healing in Action. But I do live in the Steel City, and we're known for steel, and you're talking about domestic manufacturing, and I'm just saying, I'm looking, the excitement I have for you, and what I'm so happy for you.
I spoke with somebody from the trade department, like trade.gov, about exports, and if we make it here, we can send it abroad. And there are other countries that are experiencing issues with overdoses and medication adherence. Like medication adherence, it's $1 billion annual global issue. Just taking
and I want to
the right time.
And manufacturing your lockboxes here and taking it global, being part of, obviously, hopefully it's part of your longer term strategy there. That's going to open you up to even not just in the lockbox realm, but you have an amazing story. And having spoken to others and other entrepreneurs in different countries, they're also looking for just entrepreneurs with amazing stories that are doing the work correctly. And note to all entrepreneurs, if you're a veteran-owned business and you're doing it right and you're certified and you you don't know where the next step is to go, possibly try trade.gov and maybe look at overseas, and possibly you might start overseas. But there are differing opportunities there.
Absolutely.
I know
check with your local
ready.
Chamber. Check with your local Chamber of Commerce.
I have two questions before we wrap up here. It's wild. We haven't gone the full time, but we are close to it, and it's crazy that we are almost at this tail end. And
the whole hour just flew by.
I just want to tell you, King, and whether we keep this one in or not, because I'm going to get to edit this, I really do want to keep you on the conversation regularly, because suicide prevention is the VA's number one priority. Their number one priority in what's going on, and the work that you do. Ooh, what's this?
It's a gun lock for a Veterans Crisis Line. I was at an event, and so Florida's cemetery, like the Florida State National Cemetery, whichever,
Hmm.
they give this stuff out. So
Yeah.
when visiting service members and families are visiting those sites, free gun locks at the cemetery. That's
And we,
amazing.
I did not know that. That's wow. Thank you for sharing that resource. We need to kings, queens, and however you identify, free gun locks. I have my next question. I'm going to ask you this tough question. What is your favorite color and why?
So my new favorite color is orange because of Syracuse and all of that. And I think I look pretty good in orange. It used to be like, I'd jump back and forth between like blue or green or like a blue green or, but now it's like I do like the orange. I like how it pops out there.
Yeah.
You can just wear a little bit of orange and you can see it across the room. Um, so I like that.
Nice.
Being a
Nice.
bit more visible, like like I wear so many dark color. I not right
Yeah.
now, but in my
Yeah.
normal life, I usually wear black or gray. So being in this almost a new phase in my life of like, I'll put some color on myself. Look at me, hey, notice me, kind of thing. Like, okay, versus just working from the shadows, kind of
We are in a
color
new
way.
era. I believe that the era we are in healing, fascinating era of going and getting, going after our aspirations and accomplishing our dreams. And I truly believe that.
The world
And
has changed, and I do believe that older generations have been shaping the future in general for the better. We
yeah,
can't just sit here and crap on boomers all day or whatever. Like those are my parents, like
yeah,
they did something right. We're all here, but there's a continued drive, I think, like in our nation to be better, do better. And the new generations are doing just that. They're
and they're figuring out new ways to earn money. They're really creative. I love that you said that because I agree with you.
they're
Our
treating
younger
each other
generation,
better in general. Like,
yeah,
you know,
they're having this discord and these conversations. There is opportunity for us to truly help in the conversation as they're shaping it with mentorship and guidance. Uh,
our lived experiences and saying, hey,
exactly.
like, yeah, in this is what I have seen, this is what I have experienced. You might consider X, Y, and Z, but
Ex-
even now, it's like I'm almost I'm mid 40s, right? But
yeah.
I'm feeling like this younger generation is like ready to go, and it's just like point them and get the hell out of the way.
Let them lead, and while they're leading and taking us further, it is our responsibility to heal. It is our responsibility as and where we are in our age group and limit to say it is time. I don't care who you are. I don't care what political affiliation you're with. I do not care. It is time to address childhood traumas. It's time to let it go. And I don't and for those who have experienced catastrophic events, catastrophic events. I know of mine. I cannot put myself in anyone else's shoes, and I won't. But for those who've experienced those catastrophic events, it's also up to us to help provide them a light, to help guide them to also heal. They deserve that as well. And I think it's just us maturing and us being old, just like our parents. And I want to say to all our boomers that made it, so they need to pat themselves. All our boomers, our older generation, pat themselves in the back. They've allowed our world to be here, but it is time for the younger generation to take over, to continue to shape the world, and also allow for our older generation, including us, to just heal. Because, oh, by the way, I'm not gonna lie, we are looking better than some of the younger generation. I go, but I said I had two questions for you, and I love
Mm.
this. My second question for you, and especially with Remedy Guard, and in mental health, what is your position on quantum computing? What are your thoughts on quantum computing?
So quantum computing is going to be, or well, it is extremely powerful. Again, background computer science degree. I kind of kept up on it a bit. When it comes to not just AI, but yeah, quantum computing is definitely going to be bigger than AI because it changes things at a fundamental structural level. That's when we're going to see the biggest disparity between the have and have nots. Those who've
Absolutely.
been able to um, buy into what that will bring versus those that are going to be shut out. And when it comes to full blown quantum computing and the underlying like software that goes with it, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be expensive. The barrier to entry there is going to shut out so many people. And if you look at our country and like the 1% and etc., we're so far upside down that I don't know. To me, it would signal not the greatest times for the majority.
I I would tend to think that is possible. I
Like part
haven't.
of me just looking at the what we have done with technology, like as a species, new technology, we pretty much just use it to kill everybody else. That's like in a way, whatever
Yeah,
that tech is, it's for a war effort in some regard. Even like the internet, DARPA, that kind of stuff. Like it was comms. It was
yeah,
not cat pictures.
true.
Like
So I'm just gonna get you. I'm gonna share with you my Aquarian nature, my age of Aquarius, because I do. We're about to enter the age of Aquarius for the next 20 years, and I'm gonna sound so normal. All Aquariuses will sound normal at that time because our spaceship lands. But I that's where I believe the difference is. I agree with you. Quantum computing, like any technology, extremely scary. I love how Dr. Mikio Kaku stated that the hammer at one point was the scariest instrument when it was invented because of technology and the technological advancement. I believe in our younger generation. If I didn't have my beautiful cousin who's not 21, just turned 21. Wow. Old. And
lost a
other,
couple years there.
I really did. I was like, wait a minute, he's 21. And but that's that older. I really believe that what we're doing today is helping to shape, and it won't be as catastrophic because of entrepreneurs like you and myself and many others who are looking out and continuing to educate my disadvantaged communities on technology and ensuring that no one gets left behind. Because here's what I also believe: there's going to be a flip because there's so many diamonds in the rough, and that's all of us. And when we all begin to be that diamond and shine, that's just going to be great for everybody's and everyone's bottom line. Uh, I want to end with this, Matt. I want to end with saying thank you because as my fourth, you're actually my third guest. You're my fourth episode, and I want to thank you for sharing co-creating this space with me, sharing your passion, sharing your story, and and being vulnerable. That is the strongest thing you can do, is to be vulnerable. Being weak is not, to me, weakness is strong. It's not weak. You got to show vulnerability. Vulnerability is not weakness. There we go. I want to thank you for just being the authentic version of who you are in life and showing up. And if no one's told you today that I appreciate that you exist, I appreciate that you exist. I'm glad that you exist. And thank you for being and gracing this podcast. And on your first episode, I want to have you on many, many more, because I'm excited to just share what you have going on. Anytime you have a product, anytime that you have a service, anytime you just have a message and you want to share it with our gladiators, you're part of this tribe. We are forever blue, and this journey we're on together is beautiful. And I'm going to stop talking, and I would love for you to take the final 2 minutes to talk about Remedy Guard, and really say goodbye to our gladiators on this episode.
Well, I want to thank you, Timothy, for having me on here. And I think that you yourself, you're like a walking embodiment of resilience. You've been places and you've been through a lot, but you're still here, making a difference yourself. So, thank you for being here and for having me on, and for sharing the message of love and hope and connectedness. Like, we're all in this together.
Yes.
And coming with the Remedy Guard message, asking folks just to make a stronger effort with what they might have in their home, in their life, around younger ones and their pets. Just to keep an eye on that, and be aware that they see you, they see what you're doing, and try to be that role model in their lives. I'll leave it at that.
Gladiators, it has been a plum-pleasing pleasure, in the words of our king, Les Brown. I didn't come up with that. It's been a plum-pleasing pleasure speaking with you today, man. I look forward to our next conversation. Thank you so much. Till next time, gladiators, please hit that like, subscribe. This is not just an interview. This is a conversation. This is our conversation. If you want to learn more about Remedy Guard, the link will be in the bio and the description. And we want to hear your feedback. What are your thoughts on this episode? We look forward to